Okay, today we're going to work on decimals and percents and some fractions as well, and changing back and forth between each. To go between decimals and percents is very easy. Depending on which one you're doing, you're just going to move the decimal two places, either to the right or the left. So if I'm going from a decimal to a percent, if I have 2.34, to decimal to percent is going to move to the right. Two places. So that's easy. 1, 2, this becomes 234%. If I have 0.17, it's going to move two places to the right. It's going to be 17%. If I have 0.3, that becomes a little bit different because you got to move it two places. So you move it here and then move it again. So you got to put a 0 in that spot. It becomes 30%. To go from percent to decimal is the opposite. You move to the left two places. So you'll need to write this down and this down on your desk just to have to refer back and forth to over the course of the lesson. So pause right now and write this down. Alright, you should have this written down by now. So we'll go the other thing. If I have 17%, you don't see the decimal here, but anytime you have a whole number, remember the decimal comes at the end. So this is 17 whole percent, so the decimal is here. So if we are trying to change it to a actual decimal number, we've got to move it two places to the left and drop the percent sign. So it's going to equal, it's going to go there and there, it's going to be 0.17, and then you get rid of the percent sign. So 17% is equal to 0.17, or 0.17. Slide over here to the left side. We can do 79%, and remember, this is represented as a whole number right now. To change it to a decimal, though, we've got to move the decimal places two places to the left. So as a whole number, the decimal would be at the end. So we move it two places. It becomes 0.79, and then you just drop the percent sign. So 79% is equal to 0.79. Alright, 234%, just like we had up here, we're going the opposite way. The decimal would be here, and it can still only go two places to the left. Every time you do it, you're going to move two places to the left to go from percent to decimal, or two places to the right to go from decimal to percent. It does not change depending on how many numbers there are. So here we're only going to go two places. That becomes 2.34, and you just drop the percent sign. So 234% is 2.34. 3%, the decimal's here, so you have to go 1, 2, it goes here and add a 0. So 3% is equal to 0.03. So you had to move it two places to the left, and you drop your percent sign to change it to a decimal. The other thing that we'll learn today, go ahead and make sure that you have this written down before I switch to a new page. The other thing that we'll work on is writing them as a fraction. Anytime you see percent sign, that's also going to mean it's over 100. So percent means over 100. So if I have 79%, that equals 79 over 100. If I have 2%, that's 2 over 100. If I have 345%, that's 345 over 100. So when you're writing them as a fraction, this is how you set them up. Now, yes, they can be reduced and simplified, and you will do that through the course of the lesson. I'm not going to review that much here. You should already know how to do that. We've been doing it all year. So for the sake of time on the video, I'm going to keep from reducing a lot of fractions because you know how to do that at this point. So if I have 27% and I want you to write it as a decimal and I want you to write it as a fraction, first you would say, to go to a decimal, I'd move the decimal 2 places to the left, put it there, get rid of that, and it would equal 0.27, and then it's anytime it has a percent sign, that means over 100, and it'd be 27 over 100. So pretty simple stuff right there, not a big deal. For the next 3, I'm going to get you to do them on your own. It's going to be 1, 2, and 3. If it's a decimal, I want it written as a percent and as a fraction. If it's a percent, I want it written as a decimal and a fraction. If it's a fraction, I want it written as a percent and a decimal. Alright, so I'm going to give you one of each, and you're going to put the other 2. So the first one will be 22%. So I want it as, what is a decimal? And what is a fraction? Make sure if it's a reducible fraction, you reduce it. I'll have 0.38. So I want it as a percent and as a fraction. And then I'll have 23 over 100. So I want it as a percent and as a decimal. Pause the video now and work these 3 out. Alright, at this time you should be done with these. So I have 22% to go to a decimal. I moved the decimal 2 places to the left, so from there to there. It would be 0.22. Drop that. So 0.22. You can add a 0 in front of it if you would like. And then as a fraction, it would be 22 over 100. And I will go ahead and reduce this one down for you since I'm working the problems out to find it reduced. 2 will go into both. It becomes 11 over 50. So 22% is 0.22 as a decimal, 11 over 50 as a fraction. Alright, 0.38. I want it as a percent. So to go from a decimal to a percent, we go the opposite direction that we went here. So we go over 2. It becomes 38%. Very easy. And as a fraction, we have 38 over 100 because any percent goes over 100. Or you can say this is 38 hundredths, which it is, and it's 38 over 100. So we'll reduce this one down as well. It can be reduced by 2. 38 divided by 2 is 19 over 50. This one here, 23 over 100. Anytime you see something over 100, it's already written as a percent fraction-wise. So 23 over 100 is 23%. And it's 23 hundredths, so it's 0.23. That's pretty much all I've got for you today. I will take a different type of fraction real quick so we can go from fractions to decimals and percents. So if I have 3/4, I can do this with method 1 or method 2 that we worked on last week. So I can either go 3 divided by 4 and get it as a decimal, and then from there change it to a percent, or I can get it over 100 and work it that way and get it as a decimal from that fraction and then change it to a percent as well. So if I do this method, it would be 4 times 25 and 3 times 25. That would be 75 over 100, which would give me 0.75 and 75%. All of those are equal. They're just written in different forms. Or I can do it this way. 3 divided by 4. Add my decimal and my zeros. 4 will not go into 3. 0. My decimal 4 will go into 30. 7 times 4 is 28. 30 minus 28 is 2. Bring down my 0. 4 will go into 25 times. 4 times 5 is 20. I get an answer of 0. It terminates. So now I have 0.75. And then to write it as a percent, all I have to do is move it 2 places to the right, and it's 75%. So that's how you do it if it's just a fraction, to where you have to change the fraction into a decimal and a percent as well. So pretty simple stuff. Didn't give you a ton of examples today. You don't really need to. Once you know how to do it, you know how to do it. If you're confused, go back to the start of the video. The start of the video is going to be the easiest place for you to get clarified. Make sure you have the 2 things written down on your desk that you need to from the beginning of the video, and you should have no problem with this. If you do, raise your hand. You'll get some help. Good luck.